And at first, I like to share the words of our founder, Shinjin. So please join me in Gassho. Please put your palms together. And can we have the slide up on the screen? Thank you. Hear the name is to hear the name that embodies the primal vow. Hear means to hear the primal vow and be free of doubt. Further, it indicates Shinjin. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Nam. Good morning, everyone. And welcome to today's Sunday service. And I cannot believe this is the last day of March already. So we finished 1/4 of the 2024 already. Did you enjoy your first 1/4 of the 2024? And today is Easter Sunday, right? So I wasn't expecting many people to come, so I think this is the right size for today's Sunday service. But as I promised the other day, I am going to talk about Shinjin today. And even though Shinjin is a difficult concept to grasp, it is essential for Jodo Shinshu tradition. And I'm not expecting myself to explain Shinjin in one talk and everybody to understand it. Just like parents or teacher needs to tell children or students something over and over again, we need to remind ourselves the teaching over and over again through coming to Sunday services and through daily life. So today, I try not to quote too much from Shinran Shogin's writing or teaching of the Buddha or commentaries of the Seven Pure Masters, but I will try to explain Shinjin as simply as I can. But during preparing my talk, I usually go here and there, and I think that, I might need to explain this. I need to explain that, So let's see how simple my talk is going to be. In Nishihonganji tradition, we use entrusting heart as the translation of Shinjin, entrusting heart. And there is a Buddhist dictionary I like, that is by the Princeton University, the dictionary, Princeton Dictionary of Buddhism. So, this dictionary covers the Buddhist terms in Sanskrit, Tibet, Chinese, Korean, and Japanese, and translate it into English and explain it in English. So I use this dictionary a lot when I search for the definition of the term in English. And it's not really expensive to buy it. I think you can find it Amazon too. And in this dictionary, there is a column on Shinjin, which is a Chinese pronunciation of Shinjin. I cannot pronounce Chinese well, but the kanji character for Shinjin is this. And in Japanese, we call it Shinjin, Shinjin. And it can be understood as the mind of trust, or mind of belief, or mind of faith. And if we use the word faith, then many people might think that, faith sounds like Christianity. But when I looked the Oxford English Dictionary, the first meaning of the word faith was complete trust or confidence in someone or something. And then strong belief in God or in the doctrines of our religion based on spiritual apprehension rather than proof. This was the second meaning of the word faith. So, by the way, these two dictionaries are really good for workouts while I'm at the office. Grip training, or using this as training tool. Anyway. So I think we can use the word faith to express Shinjin, what Shinjin is. But when we use the word faith, we need to explain what our mind of faith, mind of complete trust or confidence in someone or something is in Jodo Shinshu tradition. So then, going back to the Princeton Dictionary of Buddhism, it talks about Shinran Shonin's understanding of Shinjin just in 2 lines. And it said, Shinran glosses the mind of faith as the Buddha mind realized by entrusting oneself to Amitabha's name and vow. So, the year of passing of Shinran Shonin is now considered 1263. So this year is off. But in here, Princeton Dictionary uses the word entrusting oneself to Amitabha's name and vow. And I probably need to explain many terms in here, but again, I'm going to try to make my explanation simple today, so I will not talk about it in detail. But Amida is Chinese transliteration of a Sanskrit word, Amita, and it means infinite, immeasurable. And Amitabha is infinite light, and Amitayus is infinite life. So Amida Buddha is the Buddha of infinite light and life. And anyway, the word entrusting is defined as follows in Oxford English Dictionary. Assign the responsibility for doing something to someone. Assign the responsibility for doing something to someone. And entrusting is different from being irresponsible. Irresponsible is not showing a proper sense of responsibility, right? So it's not that we are being irresponsible, but we cannot fulfill the practice, or we cannot do it ourselves, so we assign the responsibility for doing something to somebody. Does it make sense? But thinking about Shohei Ohtani and Ippei Mizuhara's case, right? I don't know what exactly happened between them, but who we assign the responsibility to is really important, right? Or it seems irresponsible, right? So to explain the feeling of entrusting, I often use the example of sitting in the pews. Just like everybody's doing now. This is one example of entrusting. If there were no pews, it would be a great workout for everybody, right? Holding this position, right? This position for an hour or so, right? But instead of we holding the sitting position, we assign the responsibility for us comfortably sitting to the pews. So this is the feeling of entrusting. And because we have complete trust or confidence to the pews, that it will support our body without fail, we be seated in the pews without worrying about pews breaking down. So, if you think about it, we have to keep this sitting position without pews for an hour. That's really tough. Can you do it? Maybe somebody say, I can do it, but I don't know, right? So once we know how much we rely on pews for seating, we begin to feel appreciation towards pews for supporting our bodies. So the mind of entrusting eventually leads us to the mind of gratitude. So then, what responsibility are we assigning to Amida Buddha's name and vow? And that is the responsibility for our birth into the Pure Land, that is, the realm of enlightenment and attainment of Buddhahood. Amida Buddha established a vow to grasp and never abandon beings who entrust themselves to the sincere mind of Amida Buddha, wishing us to be born into the land of Amida through reciting the name Namo Amida Butsu. So simply saying, Amida Buddha is calling us in Namo Amida Butsu, saying that I have prepared everything you need to attain Buddhahood. So don't worry and entrust yourself to my working of Namo Amida Butsu. And Namo Amida Butsu is the name which is praised by Shakyamuni Buddha and all the other Buddhas as the way to attain Buddhahood. So this is the working of the name and the vow of Amida Buddha. Are you still following? Okay. And going back to the original quote from Shinran Shongin's words, in here, it said, here. And here means to receive or accept. And again, the name is Namo Amida Butsu, and the primal vow is sincere mind of Amida Buddha wishing us to be born into the Pure Land of Amida through reciting Namo Amida Butsu. So no need of worrying about our attainment of Buddhahood. We entrust ourselves to the working of Amida to grasp and never abandon us. And we have complete confidence of attaining Buddhahood when we pass away through the working of Amida Buddha. So this is what Shinjin is, entrusting heart is. And this is the essential of Jodo Shinshu. So if I quote more words of Shinran Shongin and Seven Pure Land Masters, I can kind of prove what I was talking about from the scriptures. But my intention for today is not to quote from Shinran Shongin or Seven Pure Land Masters not to overwhelm you too much, right? But then again, entrusting or assigning the responsibility is different from being irresponsible, right? Being irresponsible is to live this life with thinking that, well, my attainment of Buddhahood is already settled, so I can do whatever I want to do in this life, right? That is being irresponsible. But Jodo Shinshu teaching, Shinjin, or the mind of entrusting, nurtures us to be self-reflective and be appreciative of Amida's working. You know, just like thinking about holding the sitting position for an hour without pews and realizing how grateful it is to have pews to sit down. It is extremely difficult to eliminate the mind of greed, anger, envy, ignorance, and so on through our self-efforts. You know, we are not robots or AI. We are human beings, and there are days we be so emotional, right? And that is why Amida Buddha established the vow and fulfilled as Namo Amida Butsu for a person like me who cannot abandon greed, anger, ignorance, and envy. So, you know, Japanese baseball season started, just like United States. So every morning, I check the result. And if my team, Hanshin Tigers, lose the game, I have sad start of the morning. But I cannot be like, don't talk to me because my favorite team lost. Or, you know, drive the road with anger of my favorite team losing, right? This is being irresponsible for my action. But through hearing the vow of Amida, entrusting myself to the working of Amida, even though anger and disappointment arises by watching the news that my favorite team, Hanshin Tigers, lost, now I have new structure or order of my mind. So instead of acting with anger all the time, I self-reflect myself and think that, oh, because of this nature of me possessing the mind like anger, Amida Buddha is always with me in Nembutsu. So as I mentioned earlier, the mind of entrusting eventually leads us to the mind of gratitude. So finally, let me share the words of Shinran Shongin from Tangisho, a record of lamenting divergences compiled by his disciple, Yuien. He said, when I consider deeply the vow of Amida, which arose from 5 kalpas of profound thought, I realized that it was entirely for the sake of myself alone. Then how I am filled with gratitude for the primal vow, in which Amida resolved to save me, though I am burdened with such heavy karma. So, according to this Shinran Shongin's words, we live this day, each day. We live each day with the mind of self-reflection for our behavior and gratitude for Amida's great wisdom and compassion to grasp us and never abandon us. So as I mentioned, during preparing my talk, I started to think here and there, right? And question of how entrusting and being irresponsible is different came up to my mind. So I talked about Shinjin, or entrusting heart, and how entrusting heart and being irresponsible is different in today's talk. So I hope today's talk was helpful. It's really great that we have recording of Dharma Talk, so you can go home and watch it again if you didn't understand, right? So I hope you can use smartphone or anything to watch it again. But anyway, so in closing, please join me in Gassho. Please put your palms together. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda.